If you've forgotten your admin password on Windows 10, this is the guide for you. My name is Kevin and I'm from M&M. Let's get started. Our issue of not getting into Windows because we've forgotten our admin password can be solved with a 4-step process. The key ingredient in this 4-step process is a tiny bit of information about the login screen. You see, when you are not logged in on Windows 10, you are not logged into any user accounts, but you are still a user. Anytime you're in a computer, you are some form of a user. And in certain cases, someone else has specified that you should be this user. But in the case of the login screen, nobody has defined what kind of user you are. Because of this, Windows assumes that you are an administrator. This is exactly what we want to achieve. We need to become an administrator in order to change our administrator password. What we are going to do is that we are going to change a button on the Windows login screen. This button is the ease of access button. And what we're going to change this ease of access button into is to, instead of activating the ease of access menu when it's been pressed, we are going to change it so when it's pressed, we activate the command line interface, also known as the CLI. Because Windows sees this not logged in user as an administrator, we will then use the command line interface on the login screen to change the password of the administrator account, which we had previously forgotten. That was a mouthful. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty and change stuff up so we can get this button working. The first step in our 4-step process starts with downloading the Media Creation tool. The Media Creation tool is the tool that we need in order to gain administrative rights to make the necessary changes into our operating system. We do this by downloading Microsoft's Media Creation tool. Start with downloading the tool, and then insert your USB drive into the computer where you will be installing your installation media. Reformat the USB drive if necessary. Be sure to keep in mind that the Media Creation tool requires administrative rights in order to create the bootable installation media. It's because of this reason that you need to use another computer where you have administrative rights, so you can complete the installation media. And then create a bootable Windows USB using the on-screen instructions in the Media Creation tool. The speed at which the installation media is created is entirely dependent upon your internet speed and the speed of your computer. This process should take anywhere from 15 minutes to 1 hour or more to complete. The second step in our 4-step process is to change the disk priority setting of our computer so that we can boot into the installation USB. The disk priority setting is in your computer's basic input and output system, called the BIOS. The BIOS tells the computer where it should look for an operating system. Since we have created an operating system on a disk, we need to tell our BIOS that the USB drive is the drive that the computer should boot from. This is how we do it. First, turn off the troublesome computer. You enter your computer's BIOS by pressing the F8 or F10 key rapidly after starting up the computer. If none of these keys work for you, you need to check which function key opens the BIOS on your computer. You can do this by using Google. Next, we need to find where we change the disk priority. This is usually under the Advanced menu, in the boot options and boot order. In the boot order, you need to change the way that the disks are listed. The boot order is hierarchical in nature. This means that the hard drive or the SSD that is listed on the top of the boot order list is the drive that the computer will attempt to load first. We need to place the USB as the drive that will be on top of this list. Make the USB have the highest boot priority by putting the floppy USB or the equivalent on top of the menu. Press the F10 key to save the disk priority settings and reboot the system. When the USB drive has finished copying all of the files from the media creation tool, insert it into the troublesome computer and reboot this computer. If step 2 was done correctly, you should now boot into the USB drive. We will now modify the ease of access button to open the CLI in our normal Windows installation. Just like how a surgeon knows which patient is going to have which operation, we need to know which disk in our computer that is going to get the treatment. We find our main Windows installation by first listing all of the disks that we have in our computer, and then choosing the partition that contains the user folder. In my case, the user folder was found on the E drive. Next, we're going to find the ease of access executable inside of our main Windows installation and make a backup. After doing so, we're doing the main operation that we've all been looking forward to. We're now going to overwrite the ease of access button to contain the command line interface. We do this with the following operation. We're now on the final step. WPE util reboot reboots the system. Remove the installation USB from the USB hub when the screen goes black. Your system will then continue to reboot like it would normally. If everything was done correctly, you should now be able to open the CLI by pressing the Ease of Access button. Good job this far! Now for the last step. We first need to list all of the user accounts that we have on our computer in order to locate the name of the user that we want to change. Do this by using net user. This lists all the user. In my case, I'm going to change the user called Kevin. I do this by using the command net user and then specifying the user that I want to grab, followed by an asterisk. This operation prompts Windows to change the password of the grabbed user. After doing this, you can now log in again. Now make a password that you will remember, so you don't have to repeat this process. If you found this guide useful, you can support us by becoming a monthly contributor on Patreon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.